Hey guys, welcome to Pod Local. All right, this is our first in-person podcast. It's super exciting. I got some of my friends here, and the fun fact, I wanted them specifically to be in my first in-person podcast because if I were to mess up on anything, one of these guys would have the answer. So I'm gonna go down the line, and we're all gonna introduce ourselves. My name is Tim Alcorn.
Oh.
Yeah, go for it.
I thought the line was resetting to that side.
No.
How's it going, everybody? I'm MJ Vallejo.
My name is AJ. I'm not going to release my last name, but my name is AJ.
J is your last name, right?
Yep, A is my first name, and then J is the last name.
Hey.
No. My name's AJ. I'm just going to go by that.
AJ. All right. So MJ is actually a returning guest on my podcast here. If you want to catch the first one,
Link is going to be provided above, below, or whatever platform this is hosted on.
somewhere. The link will be somewhere. But for people who don't feel like watching the first one, MJ, so what's kind of your profession? What do you do?
Well, I like to think of myself, well, actually, technically, I am a professional freelance videographer, and then I am an aspiring filmmaker.
Nice. AJ, what do you do?
So I work at a nationwide men's clothing manufacturer. We're kind of like a nationally known brand. And I work for a bunch of, I don't know how to put it. We own a lot of menswear brands across the nation. And then I DJ professionally, but we'll get into that once we talk about creativity in regard to COVID.
Yeah. And you guys know I run this podcast.
And that's it. He doesn't do anything else.
I don't do anything else. That's why you guys get like 3 podcasts a month, and that's it.
Yep.
No. So I have these guys here. There's 2 main things I want to talk about, and one of them is pretty controversial, and so we're just gonna dive into that one.
Okay.
So, on social media, specifically Twitter, there has been a little thing that's been boiling up and kind of exploded. A lot of photographers in the Bay Area are being outed as what's a good politically correct term? Creeps.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're trying to say. You're trying to be respectful, but
they don't deserve respect.
Exactly. In this case, they probably don't deserve it anyway. So
They're basically sexual predators.
Yep.
Yeah.
Predators, probably. Yeah.
So like, you've dabbled in photography, so have I.
They're going to say you've dabbled in predatory actions.
What do you got, Chris Hansen?
You've dabbled as a predator, so.
Why don't you have a seat?
And for the 4th guest.
See him come in with a pizza or something.
So you've dabbled in photography, so have I.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on that, man?
Oh, before I get into the subject, I would like for all of us. Can we crack these?
Let's crack one.
Yeah,
I think,
you know what?
Because I'm gonna need a drink.
Yeah, White Claw sponsor us,
please. Oh, it's spraying everywhere. All right.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for having us.
Cheers to the first in-person podcast on Pod Local.
All right, now I have some conversation fuel. Yeah, so a few days. Yeah, so a few days ago, I did see that that entire storm on Twitter, where like a lot of, I'd say, a lot of models were kind of like, how would you say it? They were
sharing their story.
Yeah, they were sharing their stories about how a lot of local Bay Area model photographers were just creepy, and I think this is I think it's progress in our society where people are having the courage to like out people like that because they kind of deserve it. And yeah, I have dabbled in photography before when I first started owning a camera, and I have shot models before, and yeah, granted, the models, they were attractive women, but there wasn't any point during any shoot where I was just like, you know what, I think I'm gonna go for it. You know? Like,
Yeah.
especially if you're any sort of professional, like
Mhm.
at all.
Yeah.
Like those thoughts just don't really like come up.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I do a photo shoot, it's like I'm there to work, and like it's actually hard for me to even make conversation while we're like doing the photo shoot because I'm just laser focused on like work. You know, I don't want to mess up anything. I don't want to get the perfect shot, but it's out of focus. And you know, but the thing is a lot of these people, not all of them, but a lot of them aren't. I wouldn't even call them photographers. The best quote I saw on Twitter one time was, "You're not a photographer. You're just a pervert with a DSLR."
Well, yeah. I mean, like, why would you buy a camera? Like, you go to Costco and you get like the latest Canon Rebel, and you're literally like, well, I'm gonna go do some boudoir photography. Why the heck? What do you think about all this?
I think you gotta be really professional. We're in a day and age where it's all about clout. But like you said, you know, someone buys a really expensive camera, and they tend to be, if they have the wrong intent, they tend to be like, oh, let me shoot with this, you know, individual, and they'll get kind of predatory. That's almost like if I were to DJ a wedding and I'm only DJing because I want to attract the bride. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, hold up. I'm playing all these slow jams.
I'm actually a wedding DJ too.
Right
so
on.
that was extra hilarious to me.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about though,
Yeah.
right? You're always professional in that moment, and that's like if you were, I don't know, working at like, I'm trying to think what else is one-on-one, like a
Well, like picture. So I don't know if this is actually entailed in your job, but picture, since you work in the clothing industry, picture if you were like helping a woman pick an outfit,
Oh, yeah.
and the whole time you were just like, oh, let me take pictures so you could see yourself, or something,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like it's sad to say that in almost any industry, you can be creepy.
Yeah.
But I feel like photography is the easiest.
Yeah, I mean, I used to work at Michael Kors, and that was like a crazy fashion house to work at because we would go on shoot with the models, and we went into one of their trailers, and they were like kind of, you know, getting ready with their makeup and things like that, and they were wearing the bathrobes, and there was never a point where I was like, oh man, it's my time to shine right now, you know, like I was just like, oh yeah, you know, what's going on here, how you guys doing? It was always professional. It was it was cordial, never like, oh man, I'm trying to get at these models. They're like really attractive, but you know, job is a job.
You're
know?
there to work. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like all three of us are normal, sane people
Yeah.
who, like, just don't. I don't know. Just don't try and rape people. Is that like? And it's also sad how that's like, you're a decent human if you don't sexually assault people.
Michael June and I, or MJ and I, were talking about this. You know, how if you compared how we were when we were like 16 or in high school to in college to like now, you could probably be like, oh yeah, like a lot of guys are creeps, because it's almost a hard line to cross, right? When you're so young and you don't know how to interact with women, and like, in all honesty, like treat them the way they need to be treated with respect when you're like 15 or 16, or even when you're 21 to like 23, basically, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When we're in line at In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what we were saying is like, you know, when you're growing up, and of course, there's a lot of hormones going through a male's body, and you know, you have all of these thoughts going into your head. So what I admitted to him, I was just like, dude, like straight up, like when I was 18, 19, like some of the thoughts that went through my head were some creepy shit, you know. But I'm sorry, can I curse on here?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's just some creepy thoughts, but there was no point where I actually wanted to act or execute on them.
You had the thought. I mean, you know, that when you get all those hormones when you're, you know, going through puberty, you're growing up, like I feel like just weird, almost like sadistic thoughts just go through your head. But a decent human can control themselves. But what's interesting about that point is there's a point where you grow out of that.
Yeah.
And if you can't grow out of having the thoughts, you at least grow into a person who can control themselves. So it's these people who are full-on adults, like over 25, frontal lobe is fully developed, everything. And not only are they still having these like sadistic, creepy, dark thoughts, but they're acting on it too, which is crazy. There's a photographer. Rule, we're not going to name any names because I don't feel like being sued. But there's this photographer that a friend of mine told me a story where he would on purposely get the models as drunk as he could, so he could like take advantage. And one of my friends was strong enough and kind of was able to tell what he was doing and was able to exit the situation before something happened. But you know, the crazy thing is especially if you're like photographing someone who is like an aspiring model, they go with the flow. You know, they don't set the precedent. They go with the flow, and if you tell them like, hey, like if you drink, you'll be better at taking pictures because you'll be more comfortable, which I guess is like true to an extent, but like it comes to a point where you just need to like stop being a creep.
Yeah, and it's harder in that sense too because it's your reputation that's on the line, you know? And I'm not going to lie, like there's been times where I'm honest with myself where it's like, oh, it's probably creepy in that moment to this woman, you know? And granted, even if they're years earlier when I was younger, it's like you grow from that. And like you said, as long as you don't act on it in the future and you obviously learn from the past, live in the present, plan for the future. But that's difficult because it's your intent in that moment is like not about photography. It's about being a predator in that moment.
Yeah.
So it's a little different than you just, you know, at a nightclub trying to dance with a girl or something.
Yeah.
But the worst part about all of it is, like, from what I understand, a lot of these photographers that are getting exposed, they are, you can tell if you look at their photos, like, wow, they actually take very great looking portraits and they're great at editing, and they have, you know, they have the subscriber or follower account. You know, these were guys that were like 10,000 plus followers on Instagram. Some of them, not all of them. Yeah,
there's a few high class ones.
And their work is great. I think it looks great. So even like in the sense of boudoir photography, I'm like, wow, that's actually cool. Mm-hmm. But they're using.
Well, wait. Quick point on that. You can take those kind of photos, but also be artistic and have them look like it's not just like an attractive woman in your picture. It's also like art at the same time. Sorry, carry on.
But then see at the and to a certain extent they've already built their brand to a point where like they're borderline maybe even professional and really good at what they do. So already just by looking at their work, it's easy to assume that I trust this guy. He's a professional, and when I'm out shooting half naked, he's going to act professional, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like it's the worst part, where these people are using, you know, the brand that they have built to gain the trust of, you know, some of these models to break it.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, you know, I feel like there's a line that they cross, and they realize that they can cross that line as much as they want. So I feel like, you know, 'cause if you're a woman in that situation, it's not always easy to talk about it. And so you may just stay quiet. And it's a really sad thing. You know, I think that, you know, one thing that Twitter's provided recently is a platform where people can feel comfortable sharing their story. You know, they're not on the news. They're not, you know, talking to their parents. They're not talking to their friends. They're, you know, it's like you send a tweet and then you can just put your phone in your pocket. Nothing's in person. So I think that's really cool. But I think for the longest time, you know, people probably stayed quiet because it happens a lot with sexual abuse. People stay quiet. And so the photographer crosses that line and then nothing happens. And they realize that they can cross it again and again and again. And then you get these situations where it's like, oh, people will expose you on Twitter. And then all of a sudden you look, their social media is gone. Like there's no trace of them. And they're just like gone. And then hopefully they learn that they can't cross that line anymore. And hopefully everyone knows that they have crossed that line. And
it's premeditated too, right? Because they're going to bring in alcohol and it's a one-on-one situation. Yeah. And the intent is like, no, I'm not just going to shoot you. That's in the photographer's head. But it's not really a good situation because alcohol is going to make them act a fool.
Yeah.
And then they're just hoping, you know, that the model wants to do some things with them when really that's all they're in for. They don't care about, you know, the portraits or things like that. They just care about the sexual acts.
And this is how messed up it's gone. I shared this with you earlier. There was a photographer, again, I'm not going to name the name, but he convinced a 17-year-old girl to take very suggestive photos and then ended up not ever giving her the actual photos. That's how messed up it's gotten. Like, she was 17. She wasn't even 18. She was 17, and then like convinced her of that. And that's, you know, going back to the, if I have one piece of advice for aspiring models, you are always in control, no matter what. Don't ever think otherwise, because when you do think that the guy's in control, like, they'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's such a shame that that's happened, and I think if there was any kind of solution that I could offer to this, it would be for any woman or male, whatever. If you're an aspiring model and you're gonna go shoot with like a local photographer because you're trying to build your portfolio, and maybe there's no money involved. Maybe it's like an exchange of services. Like you're both trying to build your brand up. Just bring friends. Bring friends, yeah.
Don't drink.
Yeah, like for me, like when I do like video shoots, I always tell them, hey, look, if you want to bring friends or family for support, please be more than welcome to. The more the merrier. And that being said, see, you never see stories like this about videographers or filmmakers. Well, that's because we don't. That's because we stay up late and the editing just takes so much longer. Unless you're Harvey Weinstein.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, bring friends to support, because this is the way I see it, man. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing like some kind of sexy photo shoot. Maybe like you're whatever curled up on a table and you're
just pictured someone curled up on a table, not like in a fetal position. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm glad we could laugh, because it's a serious subject. Yeah, because it's a sad subject that there's weird ass photographers out there. So yeah, I mean, like, look, if you want to go out and do some sexy photo shoot in your underwear, yeah, you go, girl. Like, honestly, cool. Like, if you want to go do something dope and confident, sick. I'm not gonna stop you. Just bring friends if you feel like the guy's kind of sketch and things like that.
Especially if you've never met him before.
Yeah. If you've
never met this guy before, always bring a friend. Because I can almost guarantee you that I think any guy, if they brought a friend with them, just would not try anything.
Yeah, straight up.
And what resolve, if any, would you guys have for people that are canceled, per se, those photographers that are canceled? Because there's only so much that they could really do to build up their reputation again, right?
Oh, wow.
So, like, advice to them?
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, do you think there's any bouncing back from that?
It depends. If someone came on a little too strong, or decided to like ask him out and made him uncomfortable that way, which is totally not professional at all, but it's not, it didn't go as far as some of these other ones went. Like that guy who convinced a 17-year-old girl to take pictures, I think there's no road to redemption for him, because you're treading in pedophile territory, which is horrible.
It's like literally illegal.
Yeah. But let's say there's another story about how a photographer like smacked a girl's butt without like
I saw that one.
Not being comfortable with them at all, just like smacked a girl's butt.
This isn't like an MLB game, you just
MLB Major League Butts. Hey, it's Major League Baseball.
Major League Butts.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's obsessed with baseball players' butts. She would love that.
I was thinking about the freaking Key and Peele skit, Slap Ass.
I don't think I've seen that.
Slap Ass. Okay, never mind. Forget it.
Go ahead with the unconsent of the butt touch. Go ahead.
Okay, so if that's what you did, the very first thing you have to do is you have to go apologize to that woman. And I feel like a good way to judge if you should be getting back into the industry is if she forgives you or not. Because if she forgives you and she's sincere, that means that your apology was sincere and you probably actually feel bad about what you did. And then maybe there's a road to redemption after that. But, some of it, like for instance, this is an unpopular opinion, but I think Louis C.K. has a road to redemption, but I think Harvey Weinstein does not.
Thank you for saying that, because I couldn't agree with you more, because, oh my goodness, yeah, no, Louis C.K.'s cool.
What he did was messed up, but if you listen to the girl's stories, I'm not saying what he did is okay. I'm going to set that precedent right now. What he did was messed up. It was not okay. He should not have done that. But he did get consent from every woman.
I thought there was no even physical contact involved.
Yeah, there's no physical contact. And he got consent to do the nasty thing he did in front of them.
Yeah. It's just something he's into, I guess.
Yeah. He actually released a comedy special on his website where he actually explains what he did and why it was wrong, and it's super interesting. But like Louis C.K., I think he has a path to redemption. Aziz Ansari had a path to redemption, but Harvey Weinstein doesn't. So I think, to answer your question, I think there are some people who it's like, you need to be done. You need to get out of here. You messed up. I don't see how anyone can ever trust you again. But there's some people who I feel like you need to take a break. You need to apologize to anyone who you've offended. And then if you have a platform, publicly apologize and admit what you did. Get in front of it. Admit what you did. Take a break. And then come back to it later.
Makes
You guys
sense.
agree? What are your thoughts on that?
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes sense. And if I think any kind of like photographer who thinks, if you even think that you are a little bit kind of creepy at any shoot, go out and think everything through and go reach out and apologize before you're exposed, because it's gonna be less bad. I'm not gonna say better. It's gonna be less bad because
Well, there's a chance they won't expose you.
Well, yeah, because then you just talk about it and you admit your faults. I mean, we're human beings, and that's just the way it is, man. You just gotta.
Yeah. It's just different because it's in a professional capacity, and that's not something you should be doing,
Yeah.
Like if you're drunk out at night with their boys or something and you just see girls at the club, then it's a different story because you already have a different intent there, and it's obviously still not the right thing to do. But in this sense, it's like one-on-one with a client that either is paying you or, it's professional work, and you don't want to.
It also hits deeper when they're trusting you.
Yeah.
And you violate that trust.
And you
I feel like at a
manipulate the
club,
situation.
I feel like at a club, there's not a single female who trusts the guys there.
Yeah.
Like they're always in safe mode.
And they're always with their friends, and then you could tell like they're gonna roll as a pack.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is totally smart.
And you guys have those guys in the corner like us drinking in the corner, just flies on the wall.
But there is a way around it, because here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with being attracted to someone, even if it's somebody that you're working with. So maybe just leave the set location there. But if you are attracted to any of the actors, actresses, or models that you're working with, or anybody in your film crew, I'm not referring to me when I'm saying this, by the way, just because I'm. Just ask them out like a normal person.
not on the shoot.
Yeah, after
Wait till
your
your job is done.
Yeah, after you're done working, be like, hey, would you like to go get some Philly cheesesteaks with me after?
Hey.
Oh, no? Oh, okay. You said no. You're probably not interested in expanding our relationship beyond the photo set.
And once it's a no, you kind of, as a guy, you get to a certain point where you're, like Tim said, your frontal lobe grows, right? And you're like, all right, she's not into me. As a man, you're likely going to like disrespect a girl in your lifetime, right?
Yeah.
But like Michael June said, I know people that are in long-term relationships that have met through work, and then you ask them out, and then now they're still going hard as a relationship. I say that because Michael June met his girlfriend through work.
I actually did not know that. I've known you and your girlfriend for a long time. I did not know that.
Fun facts.
Anyway, if you're on a shoot and you are attracted to someone, there's nothing wrong with shooting your shot in a respectful way. Just like asking them out. And honestly, most girls, they don't get weird if you ask them out and they say no, especially if you're cool about it after.
Or they'll just say they have a boyfriend, right? They'll just be like, oh, yeah, oh, sorry, I'm taking, or oh, sorry, I'm not that interested. It's just professional.
Yeah, yeah. And most girls, like, they won't be weird after that. Because you have that feeling that if you ask them out and they say no, then you're, like, never going to work together again, or you're never going to like anything again. And sometimes, that might be the case. But sometimes, most of the time, they're just like, oh, he asked me out, I said no, he was cool about it, and we're fine.
And if anything, as a guy, that makes you more attractive to her. Because it's like, oh, he still wants to work with me, even though he's interested in me. And like, oh, he didn't ask me out this time. Like, does he not like me anymore? So it sounds weird, but it's almost like...
Next topic is AJ dating tips.
Nah, I might disrespect myself when I say, oh, dude, yeah, but anyways.
You don't want dating tips from me.
MJ got to have the dating tips.
Oh
the
man,
longevity.
that would be a whole other episode. I would say my thing is freaking keep yourself busy, and we're always constantly work on yourself and be the best version of yourself. If you want to be even dateable, if you want to be dateable, work on yourself, and just be the best version of yourself for that other person, and you'll be okay. That's pretty much it, and
MJ dating tips.
yeah, and don't be a freaking creep. Don't use your powers for evil, because look,
Yeah.
there's two photographers that are going on right now. There's really bad ones that are being creeps to models, and then on the other spectrum, there's those photographers who are helping us document history at these protests downtown.
I was I went to 2 protests so far, and I brought my camera, and it's like that was important to me because I knew I was documenting history. This is the biggest civil rights movement in history, and what kills me and makes me so angry about some of these photographers. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Oh, go ahead.
I'm like halfway a photographer. I don't do it professionally, but I feel like I'm decent at it. But these people are giving photographers a terrible name, like a horrible name. But go on with your 2 types of photographers thing, because you're onto something.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I would just say, if you're good at photography, do something like use your powers for good, right? Use something to actually maybe scale your business, or even just document a lot of the history that's going down right now, and of course, I think there's a thing you have to blur out protesters' face. Is that the thing?
I think just so it doesn't expose them, but
California laws are weird because if you're in public, the right to privacy is really flaky, especially if you're in a protest. That's why news agencies can get away with just live streaming in the middle of the protest. So California right to privacy laws, if you're in a private space, whether it's like a film studio or your house, you have a right to privacy and people cannot record you. But if you're in a public space, the laws are a little bit like flaky. And so technically you don't have to, but it's kind of a courteous thing to do it.
Okay.
like what you said, though, just because protesting is mainstream and injustice and inequality for some reason is popular now, you shouldn't use that as, social media clout or content clout.
Oh, yeah.
You should just be an ongoing, and I just want to emphasize being consistent. Like Michael June said, being consistent as a person and professional and personal growth, but also as a human being. We all make mistakes, and, whether it be models who are, being more mindful of who they work with, or the photographers who have wrote their wrongs, and we're all hoping that, bounce back in their own right if they want to, and if they don't want to, well, keep staying down there. But overall, we just got to improve and grow as people.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, this will be the worst transition into the next thing I want to talk about. I have a creative career myself. I'm the host of this podcast. I run a media company where I do media production for different clients. You do a variation of the same thing. You run multiple podcasts, and you also do media production for clients. You guys actually both just started a YouTube channel, if I know correctly, or are starting in the process, which you were actually using this studio to film one of your videos earlier. And so is your guys' page up yet?
Yep.
Is it created? Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to link it in the description.
Perfect.
Here.
Right on.
So look down in the description here. But so you guys are both kind of in the creative, not kind of, you guys are in the creative arena. So with COVID-19, I know me and you talked about this in our last podcast, but you've had consistent work through the pandemic, supporting businesses through this type of thing, because they can't be in person, so everything's kind of online now. So like, what do you guys think that the creative industry is going to look like post-COVID? Because a lot of companies are starting to realize that, social media, internet is a powerful tool. And do you guys think that a lot of companies are going to start heavily investing into this industry, the creative industry, or do you guys think that as soon as the pandemic is over, they're gonna, cut ties and go back to what they were doing?
I think on a macro level, bigger companies will invest. Granted, right now they're not investing as much in resources, creative resources or content resources as much as they are strictly business or like revenue or, things like that, like marketing or merchandising. I'm speaking more so from a fashion perspective. But on a micro level, I think this pandemic is going to weed out people who are really passionate about what they want to do and people who are in it just for the money and the short-term kind of things. More so like those, photographers who are just doing quick things for a quick buck and I'm not going to say it. Yeah, but overall, I think that companies are investing in it. Look how many jobs that are out there in the marketplace that weren't here in 2010 or 2015. So I think it's going to evolve even further in new media, but it's going to be hard for the rest of this year and even early 2021, I think.
Well, the millennials who grew up on social media, grew up with the internet, and are used to using that as like a source of information, a shopping area and all that. We are the ones buying the product now. And so personally, this is my opinion, I think companies, entities, anything, I think you're a fool if you don't invest in social media and the internet. If you think it's just nonsense and it's just for like little kids or whatever, like I think you're a fool because you're probably losing out on a lot. I can't even tell you how many impulse buys I've made from Instagram ads. It's really bad.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more because I mean a lot of these clients that I've been working with recently, they're moving their entire businesses to an e-commerce structure, and then so a lot of people are able to purchase like membership or like premium content, for example, and these brands, they're kind of realizing, like these smaller businesses that I'm working with, they're like, dude, we should have been doing this video stuff or like all of this stuff years ago. We didn't think that we're going to be getting sales on it. We were just trying to stay afloat. And, through the video content, like people are staying afloat, right? Because I mean, think about it. Something like, let's just say YouTube, for example, right? There's so many YouTubers that are like getting more views than cable television.
Oh, yeah.
So much. And it's like, and these YouTubers, maybe they're even like, they're getting paid so much less. Like if you pay for like a TV spot on whatever friggin' ABC, you're gonna pay for a pretty penny.
Traditional media is not the way to go right now.
No, yeah, exactly. But like in contrast, if I hired like some 12-year-old kid that's good at scootering, and I'm like, hey man, can you just wear this shirt? I'll give you you could have the shirt.
Yeah, but post it on your Instagram.
Yeah,
and tag me.
Exactly. Then all of his friends are gonna want that shirt.
Even if you're a rapper or say you have a brand, right? The first thing they're going to ask you is like, oh, what's your Instagram? And then they're going to judge your feed, especially if you're a rapper, right?
Yeah.
And you're shooting their video. They're like, oh, I like this 30-second snippet. Let me see the next one. And then they'll click the link in the bio and be like, oh, wow, that's an impression.
Yeah. Yeah, nowadays, if you're not, it doesn't matter what business or entity you are. If your plan is to either gain a following or make sales or distribute whatever, that you need to be heavily investing into social media right now. So we're dealing with COVID right now, and things are starting to open back up. People are starting to get out there. But what happens if a second wave hits? People are going to be back locked down at their house, and all they have is the internet. They can't go anywhere. And what if something happens like this again? You never know what's going to happen, but the internet is available to pretty much everyone all the time, no matter what. As long as you have power, you pretty much have internet. And so like, what do you think companies are going to do? Like, not just like the companies that you work with, but like mainstream companies. Like, what do you think people like Intel, Target, even like places of worship, or because if you notice, like, all churches shut down.
Yep.
And they're live streaming now. And, I have my own opinion on churches live streaming. I think a lot of them are going to keep going with it, and a lot of them are going to stop doing it as soon as they can. But like, there's like startup businesses, mom and pop shops. Like, do you think that people are going to start leaning into social media a little bit more?
Absolutely. I mean, even up to this point right now, if you are a small business, or regardless of how big your business is, if you are not doing any kind of content, whether that's video content, graphics, or even photography, like I'm sorry to say, you are already behind. Sorry, I'm like mumbling when I talk. Yeah, you're already behind.
Sorry, today, Junior.
Billy Madison. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. You're already behind, and you should probably hire an in-house videographer or a freelancer to kind of help you play catch up. And I'm not trying to promote myself. You don't have to hire me.
He's trying to promote me.
Yeah, I'm trying to promote him. Exactly.
But it's okay because I'm promoting him.
Exactly. What do you think though?
I think that companies, like small businesses in specific, are going to start doing it more consistently because they have less risk than a bigger business that has to do it professionally. But the thing is, for a smaller business, it's almost easier, right? Because as long as you're consistent and post something from like a device that's not an iPhone 3G or like a Zune, then you're good. A Zune you can't even take pictures on. That's why I put that as a reference. But I think...
Whatever happened with those?
Yeah, I don't know.
Those disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah. I think iPod probably took it over. Yeah. But in all seriousness, I think that not only the smaller companies have to embrace, that media strategy, but also just bigger companies have to do more with their strategies and not put as much money into like national ads and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like with the amount of people on YouTube, I feel like a lot of cable ads are just a waste of money now. Mm-hmm. And there are still people who advertise on AM and FM.
Oh, wow.
On the radio.
S&G more than carpet.
Yeah, S&G,
where
and then
quality is
Food
affordable.
Max.
Food
Yes.
Max. What's the jeweler?
The Shane Company.
Oh, there you go.
Shane
Let's
Company.
go.
Shane Company.
Open Tuesdays till 9.
I mean, I wouldn't say take all your... You're doing
If you're from the Bay Area, you know those commercials.
Yeah, the buzz down.
Now you have a friend in the diamond business. The Shane Company.
Did you do the voiceover? No.
I've just heard it enough.
I wouldn't say take out all your budget if you're a company out of like, national media or traditional media. But I would definitely say when you're doing an advertisement, it's almost like in-store shopping, right? Like that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
But I would focus more on what is really working, and that's kind of new media, whether it be your content strategy and hiring men like these, or doing your own thing and trying to be innovative. Even if you're a taco truck, right? People look at your Instagram just to see what time you're there, what's your menu at that moment.
Do you guys know the taco truck mogos?
Yeah.
That's how you find them. You look at their Instagram and you figure out where they're going to be, and then people flock to them.
They're still around?
I haven't actually.
I heard controversy about them.
I actually haven't heard anything from them in a long time.
That was like years ago.
Something in their burrito. There's like maggots coming out of their burrito.
Wait, what?
That's a controversy I heard.
That was like way long ago.
So no mo, people go.
But see, their last tweet was on December 31st, 2017.
Oof.
Hiatus. All their stuff expired.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
should have said, do you guys remember Mogos? Not do you guys know of Mogos?
I don't want no hate on Mogos. I don't want them to be like, why are y'all hating?
I mean, maggots aren't that bad for you.
Hey, protein, right?
Do they
Protein.
taste good? I mean, their short rib was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
I've seen
With that sauce?
Bear Grylls has eaten maggots, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You brought it back with the Mogos, though. That was a great truck. I like that truck a lot.
That was a good one, yeah.
Mogos, please fix your meat and come back.
The new thing that's in now is that dippable tacos, like the birria.
Oh, birria tacos? Yeah, you're talking about Lagomitas.
Yeah, Lady Gomitas.
Yeah. What'd I say?
La Gomitas. It's like La Vix X.
Oh, yeah.
Lady Gomitas is like a truck in the south side of San Jose.
Monterey Highway.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to check that out. I don't know how we got
free
there.
plug
I'm getting hungry now.
for the 10 people who are going to watch this.
I know, right?
Well, so have you still been getting consistent work recently?
Yeah, I mean, even recently, like this chiropractic office just hit me up because same thing. They're realizing that just video, you need a way to communicate to your audience, and even more recently, I would say, even more graphic designers are getting more consistent work and jobs because a lot of I think a lot of us are learning more about what user experience is, and everybody is is slowly learning. Every business is slowly learning, like, hey, nobody wants to read my freaking 3-paragraph monthly newsletter about my business, because that's freaking boring as hell, right?
Yeah, save that for the politicians.
Exactly. But if you made like this cool graphic or even like a quick short video on like any changes that's going on in the company, whether that's external or internal information, it makes everybody less mentally exhausted.
Well, you know, I have friends that I went to high school with who they do makeup now, like, you know, for pay, and they do like eyebrows or whatever. And a couple of them have kind of reached out because they know I do what I do, and they've been like, hey, so what's a good way to catch someone's attention online? And I'm just like, don't write a post, make a video. And make sure the first 3 seconds are nice. Make sure the first 3 seconds are attention grabbing, because that's the attention span of your average person scrolling through Facebook on a video, is they pay attention for the first 3 seconds, and then a lot of them just keep swiping. Not all of them. Some people actually watch a full video, but that's one thing I learned when I was making political videos for different politicians running for office, is like, you have to put like the name and the office in the first 3 seconds of the video, because if they do keep scrolling, you want that to stick in their head.
So your friend could basically be like, hey, I'm a makeup artist based in the Bay Area.
Yeah, if you get that, you gotta cut that out. It's not mandatory.
That probably catches the attention.
Like, whoa, what the heck? She sounds like the Crash Bandicoot mask.
Well, have you ever seen those? It's either like a TikTok or an ad or a video or something where they straight up are just like, hey, stop scrolling right now and watch this.
Yeah.
What are you, Ty Lopez?
It sounded like that X-rated video. Like, I'm here with my boys.
Oh.
Are you really watching? Are you really
AJ?
That was a meme.
Are you really watching Alone right now? No, I'm with my boys.
Yeah, that's a meme. That's what I was talking about. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah.
Hey, you. Are you really watching Alone right
It's
now?
like chatterbait or something.
Whoa.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
That's like funny.
But anyway, like, if you put something like that in the first 3 seconds of the video, I guarantee people will watch that video, because that'll catch their attention.
Like, I have family members who own a chiropractic office, and, you know, their practice. If you ask them like 3 or 5 years ago, would you, enable these social media tactics and content strategy for whatever you're doing for your business, they'd be like, no. But now it's like they make consistent Facebook videos. You really get to know them and their practice. And it's really like, would I rather go to them if I was just someone looking for a new chiropractor? Would I go to them that I kind of watch all their content and know what they're about and their personality? Or would I go to someone I just read a Yelp review on? So,
well, for instance, my tattoo artist, he posts all of his work on Instagram. And I found him because he's a good friend of my cousin, but that's how 90% of his clients find him. Because, he'll use hashtags and all that, and people are looking up ideas, and then they're just like, oh, that's cool, who did that? And then they go to his page, and they're like, wow, this guy does, like, really amazing work. And then they go to him, and 90% of his clientele probably wouldn't be there without his Instagram.
And that's crazy because Instagram is such a crazy platform for you to get impressions. I would say almost 95% of my DJ gigs I get booked through Instagram. And they just see like a story, they're like, where can I book you? Can I just book you through DM?
I try not to get wedding gigs. In our last podcast, we actually talked about this. I kind of retired from that, but a lot of people know I do it. So when they're getting married, they hit me up and they're just like, can you please do it? And
Well,
I guess.
I mean, I only do wedding gigs where I know the couple personally.
Me too.
Because I do more corporate gigs. I've been doing a lot of corporate gigs, but all of those corporate gigs canceled all for this year. All wedding gigs postponed to 2020 as you guys, or 2021 as wedding gigs may.
I actually have one in August.
Really?
Yeah, it's in Oregon though. It's in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, it's for a good friend of mine. I would not do the wedding if it wasn't for a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But it's cool because she's paying my way down to Oregon, and I'm gonna spend probably like a good 5 days there. So I'll get to hang out in Oregon for a while, which will be cool.
And you want to do it for someone that you really have a relationship with, or
Yeah.
at least know of. You know,
I've known this person for a really long time. She's a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And it's the type of thing where if I said no to DJing the wedding, I'd still be at the wedding. And so that's like, it just reminded me of one of our topics from our old podcast where you just get a client and you feel like you're like attached to the client by the end of the gig. It's like you get like super involved in their wedding stories or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the cool thing about doing any kind of wedding project is like you're super invested in it. Like it's like a long-term type of deal because sometimes even like your first initial meeting and like the concept of how the video is going to go about, it starts sometimes like a year and a half in advance. So like this entire like for me, sometimes it's so surreal where like at the end of the reception and stuff like that, when I'm leaving, I'm like, you guys, it's been such a cool journey, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's cool. It's so crazy. Even like up to the delivery of the video, but I
have a question for you.
Yeah, please.
Have you ever known a couple long enough to where you did their wedding, but they also like probably one of them, not both of them, but one of them also asked you to do like an engagement video. And so you did like an engagement and then the wedding too?
I usually package that in. That's typically my packages actually. So, I mean, because the thing is like a lot of people who are reaching out in advance, maybe like a year or a year and a half, they say, hey, you know, we're kind of shopping around for like a wedding video right now and blah, blah, blah. I always try to tell them like, hey, look, it's like a year out from your actual wedding date. You haven't save the dates, you know, those little invitations or like your invitations. Why don't you create an engagement video of like announcing that your engagement and like your official date of your wedding? Because it's cool. Because look, when we get save the dates in the mail, it's like, cool, I got a magnet for my refrigerator. Click it on there. It's like, but I'd rather have a cool, like a cool minute and a half video of like us just walking in slow motion, like on the beach. It's a lot cooler.
A minute and a half of just walking slow motion on the beach.
That's it. Don't even discuss the party.
Just like that.
You're not even discussing the engagement. It's just slow motion walking on the beach.
Like the Flight of the Conchords movie, just running on the beach, you know? So, yeah.
Well, like that's actually kind of cool because that's like a win-win. Because it's a win for them because they get that packaged in there. And they get to capture that moment. They get to make their save the dates even better. And like that's a total win for them. It's also a win for you from a business standpoint because you're able to lock in clients earlier. And you know, if you've already invested time in work, you know, they're not going to flake on you. You know, cuz like the one time I did a wedding and someone, it was like my first wedding actually. And that's back when I was like 18. I was barely charging anything because you almost charge nothing for your first like wedding.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna mess something up. Did you mess up your first wedding? Like any mess up at all?
I wouldn't say mess up necessarily where it's like super crazy, but I would say like there's a lot of demands and pressure that come in for someone's special moment, and they're like, play this song now. I want like Elvis Presley right now, and there's only like one person dancing on the dance floor.
Some achy breaky heart.
It's like when you have that one or two people that always like your picture, and it's like you're holding a boombox and they're outside your house, just like that.
Well, actually, I had no mess ups on my first wedding. The second one was horrible. I messed up a lot. But so anyways, so I did this wedding. It was my first wedding, and one of the bridesmaids came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm actually getting married next year. How much do you charge?" And I told her, and she's like, "What? That's crazy cheap," because that would be like my second wedding that I had planned. Yeah. And so she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna hire you. Like this is happening. I'm hiring you. You did great here, and you only charge that much. I'm hiring you." I think I might have told you this story. And a few months later, they reach out and they're just like, "Hey, so we just want to let you know that our family actually got a family DJ to DJ the wedding, but can you give me all of your music that you use because I liked your playlist?"
Oh, that's the worst. I don't even want to discuss some of those things because it's like I've had clients where I send them the contract. And they're like, "Oh yeah, like thank you for all your communication and things like that, but we're gonna have someone from our family do it." And I would say that's the blessing and a curse for being a DJ because it's so transactional, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a photographer or videographer, you have to do so much pre and post follow up.
Yeah.
But as a DJ, you're doing, prepping the list, and like if you're emceeing, you're practicing that too. But it's really transactional.
Yeah.
There's no way for you to really get as in depth with a client. Like if I'm doing a corporate gig or a nightclub gig, I'm never like, all right, what's up, crowd? You know what's going on? I just want to connect with y'all tonight, like a wedding or something. It's like, no, like I'm gonna play ratchet stuff at a club or at a corporate event. I'm gonna cater to people that are 25 to like 65 and then get the heck out. But at a wedding, you could tone it down a little bit, really understand that couple, but at the same time, you're not doing the same thing that a videographer or a photographer is doing.
Yeah, and actually have a lightning question for both of you guys, if you don't mind, since you guys have both DJ'd weddings. I guess I'll start with you first, and then I'll ask you. If you were to give me a grand entrance to my reception to Mr. and Mrs. Vallejo, how would you do my grand entrance? You're emceeing and DJing.
Oh, wow.
Oof. That's a hard question for me because I hate emceeing.
Yeah, that's why it's hard for grand entrance too, because you need someone to play that music simultaneously, and you don't want to be that guy. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna play Mr. and Mrs. Vallejo, and you try to like do that.
You utilize iPhones and iPads at that point as remote controllers.
That's true. Yeah,
You bring a Wi-Fi hotspot with you, and you connect all your devices to one hotspot, and you utilize like Tractor controller or Serato controller, whatever program you use, and then you can control it from anywhere where that hotspot is within reach.
I'm just scared.
That's a tech tip.
I'm scared of the hotspot. I'm so like old school.
You don't use it for internet. You just use it to connect your devices together.
Man, you better not say that when I enter my reception, bro.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Is that your answer?
Okay.
Wi-Fi hotspot.
You know.
Welcome everyone to a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Okay. This is what I do for you. I would do the grand thing. I'd kill all the lights so it's dark, and then I would turn on just blue LEDs. That's it. And I'd be like, everybody, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Vallejo. And then I kick on all the lights, simultaneously playing the song by Soulja Boy. Turn your swag on.
Hey, let's go.
I was like an Aziz Ansari.
Yeah, while blowing confetti. Confetti is just, blowing out. And all the lights are going crazy at this point. Subwoofers are like booming. And then I only play one phrase, just that chorus part of the song. And then I end it off with a big subwoofer boom, like boom. And then it gets quiet. And then we move on.
Okay.
Talk about a grand entrance. If you don't do that, I'm going to be disappointed now.
Well, I'll be disappointed if I lose my deposit, my venue deposit over the confetti. But thank you for that.
Or dry ice or something.
Yeah. What about you, man? How
like M and J more than Mazzy, where compatibility is affordable? Nah, I don't know.
Where compatibility is affordable.
I don't know, dude. I want to DJ your wedding. I'm your homie, dude.
No, you'd probably be like a groomsman, but that'd be funny if I had like the S&G thing, but you have those dudes in the blue shirt rolling out carpet. you know the animation that they do?
They all got like those train conductor uniforms on.
like the conjunction junction guy.
You got the youngins being like, I saw him in the video.
Yep.
Oh, where marriage
I don't know what I would say, dude.
achievable.
Yeah, but weddings are cool. I just don't want. I don't want to.
Let's change the subject.
I don't want to DJ them as much. Just to be honest, I like doing clubs, corporate gigs, or
Dude, I
private
hate
parties.
DJing weddings, man. It's the worst.
Yeah.
They usually pay out the best, but it's like, is it worth it?
Yeah, it's
I don't
hard.
know.
I like doing more. I like doing private events or corporate gigs.
The best paid gigs I've ever done is I had a weekly residency at a bar. And I would go there every Thursday night. It was 9 to 2.
Sheesh.
Yeah, man, 5 hours straight.
Yeah.
But, after you do it a few times, it's like, you know when you can take your breaks, put it on auto mix, like go relax.
That
Like,
first hour is a sound check anyways.
yeah, pretty much. No one's really there.
You're just drinking with the bartender.
Yeah, as soon as it hits 11, people start showing up. That's when you play the real music.
You gotta make it seem like you're mixing, put your headphones on, check your Facebook.
Yeah, well, so actually what I did, I would get a lot of average songs, not bangers, but not sucky songs, obviously. And I pre-made playlists, continuous. So it's like an hour-long playlist of this. And from like 9 to like 11:30ish, I would just play that. 11:30, 12, I'd just kick on the bangers.
Yeah.
When I DJ there on weekends, because I had a Thursday residency there every week. I was always there at the same time, but sometimes I'd DJ on weekends there too. We'd bring in the projector and I'd actually DJ with music videos.
Oh, that's dope.
Which is so much cooler than regular DJing. DJing with music videos is like it's so much more fun because then your effects that you use also control the video,
Yeah.
which is dope. When do we need to wrap up? I'll edit this.
I don't know. Probably now.
Okay. But yeah, and so but the most fun gigs I've ever done is unpaid stuff. It's like the bar I used to DJ at. When the bar was closed, they let me take over the whole bar one time and just have DJs come in. We just played a bunch of EDM, like dubstep and stuff.
That's dope.
And the bar manager opened up the bar, and so it's like the bar was open, but it was private. And we packed it full. It was amazing. Probably won't be able to do something like that for a long time right now.
I mean, that lifestyle is super toxic, but at the same time, it's cool. But when you're like a millennial in our age, you know, like you're like mid-20s or early 20s, right? Say you're 21 and you get a residency gig like that. Like there have been so many times where like my homies, the security is like, oh, leave now, right? And then the bartender, when it's like last call, when everyone leaves, he's like, tell your homies to come back in. We're going to be there until like 4 or 5. And I'm like, all right, you guys can have fun, but I'm going to head
Allegedly
out.
that happens.
Allegedly. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
All these business owners out there. But yeah, that's the toxic DJ life. But I get you, man. A lot of the times, like, you know, even like a house party will be the funnest.
Oh yeah, dude, house
too.
parties are awesome.
So-
It's so unprofessional, so unconventional. It's awesome.
Just vibes.
Anyways, guys, thank you for being my first in-person podcast on Pod Local. It's dope.
You trying to elbow me, dude?
It was cool. I had people to talk about this controversial stuff. Again, we're going to have some of their stuff linked down below in the description. If you want to see me and MJ's last podcast, it'll be linked somewhere. What's your guys' YouTube channel called?
Straight gassing.
Straight Gassin'. No brakes.
All gas, no
Straight
brakes.
gassin'. All right. It'll be linked there. This is not the first time MJ's been on my podcast. It definitely won't be the last. He'll be back on for those of you who enjoy that. Enjoy this guy. I enjoy this guy in the least creepy way possible. Anyways, thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.